Okay, grade 9s, Simsolving. To do these questions, there are many different ways. So just because you might be doing it a different way to how I do it here doesn't mean you are wrong. And I can't go and do every single sum every single way, it just takes too long. So what you're going to have to do, if you did it a different way and you don't know where you've gone wrong, is just take a picture of what you did and WhatsApp it to me, and I'll get back to you in 1 minute with your mistakes. Okay, it's very important. This one here was a very easy one because I already gave you x. X was given. So all you do is you take that x value, put it into the x in the other one, solve your equation, and you'll come out with your y. Alright, so there's the answer for number 1. This one here, a little bit more difficult, but in this equation here, do you see there's an x and a y? So there's a problem. In the first one they gave you, do you see that there's only y's? So that's not a problem, that's too easy. So you start with this equation and you just solve for y and you end up with y being 4. Right, once you found the y is 4, then you just take that 4, you put it into the other one, and you'll get x is minus 4. So there's the answer. Number 3, okay, 2 equations and both of them have x's and y's in them. So this one is slightly trickier. But the way that they've given it to you, they've got y equals that and y equals that. So both of these are equal to y. That's why I just go and make the 2x plus 1 equal to the minus x minus 5, because they were both y's. So they are equal. So I do that and I solve the equation and I end up with x is minus 2. And once you've got the x, you just got to subs that back into either of the original 2 equations to get the y. Doesn't matter which one you put it in, you'll get the same answer for both. Okay, so I put it into this one and end up with y equal minus 3. Alright, and because they asked you to determine the coordinates of the points, okay, I wrote the x and the y in coordinate form. Okay, number 4, once again 2 equations, both with x's and y's, so not so good. This second equation, do you see how it already has a y isolated? Y equals that. Well, that's a big hint. So I'm just going to take that x plus 6, which is y. Y equals that. I'm going to take that x plus 6 and put it into the other equation wherever I see a y. So there's the y there. So instead of that y, I've got the x plus 6. And then you end up with an equation that doesn't have any y's in it. It's just got x's, so you can go and find x easily, which I did. Once you found the x, you can put that back into any equation. Okay, so it can go back in there, it can go back in there. Obviously this is a much simpler equation, and we're looking for y. So I put that x is minus 3 back into this equation there, and very quickly minus 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Alright, and again they wanted the coordinates, so it's minus 3 with positive 3 there. Number 5, again 2 equations, both with x's and y's. So the easiest way to do this would be to try and get either the x or the y on its own in one of the 2 equations. And looking in this equation here, the second one, it's very easy to get that x there on its own. It's almost there already. All I've got to do is take the minus 2 across. So that's all I did. I took the minus 2y across, and I was left with x equals 5 plus 2y. And then that 5 plus 2y, I took and put it into all the x's on in the other equation. You see, if you wanted to try and isolate the x's or the y's in any of the others, to get this x here on its own, I would have to divide it by 2. To get this y on its own, I would have to divide by 3. It's not wrong if you do that, but it's so much more work. To get this y here on its own, I would have to have divided by the negative 2. But this x, to get it on its own, it's already on its own. So that is why it's the logical place to start. Okay, so there we go, I did it. X was on its own, it's 5 plus 2y. It went into the x here, you see. So now I've just got y's, I solve it, and I end up with y is equal to negative 6 over 7. Then you've got to take that value for y, put it back into any equation you want, and for me that's by far the easiest there. It's already got x equals, so it goes back in there, you see, here it is, and your y ends up being 23 over 7. And then I also wrote it as a coordinates. They're talking about a rectangle and a square here. That's saying the perimeter of a rectangle is 100. So this one's perimeter is 100, and the length of the rectangle is y, and the breadth is x. And then it also says that the perimeter of a square with sides 2x, so there's a 2x, 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 and the perimeter of this one is 64. Well, I'm definitely going to start here because there's only one unknown here, the x. So 2x plus 2x plus 2x plus 2x equals 64. Solve for x and you get 8. Alright, so now that I have x, I know what I know the width of this rectangle is 8. Okay, so then it's going to be this 8 plus that 8 plus 2y's equals 100. There's the equation there, and you can solve it and you get your y as 42.